Hey everyone, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly with a great new phone. This is the Samsung Epic 4G Touch for Sprint. This is a new 4G phone. This is the successor to the Epic, the original Epic 4G. By the way, the original Epic 4G will continue to be sold for a little while longer, and it's still a really good phone. If you want a phone on Sprint with a great display and an actual physical keyboard, the original Epic 4G is the way to go. But in front of you, this is the new Samsung Epic 4G Touch for Sprint. This is a 4G phone. It runs on Sprint's WiMAX network, and you can't really tell from this, but it has the biggest screen I've seen on a cell phone. This is a 4.5-inch diagonal screen. Now, there is something else that needs to go along with that. The resolution of this is 480 by 800 pixels. Now, a lot of new phones are coming out now with a resolution of 540 by 960, and this is 480 by 800. Now, it's a very pretty screen. It uses Samsung's Super AMOLED Plus technology. That means the viewing angle is fantastic. You can view it from way off axis. The colors are very vibrant. They just snap out of here. The blacks are very black. The whites are very white. So the contrast ratio is very high on this. That's one of the things that makes the AMOLED displays just so attractive. But it is a big phone because of the 4.5-inch screen. How big is it? Here is the previous version of the Samsung Galaxy S. Now, this is the original Samsung Galaxy S. This is the, this is the Galaxy S 4G, which is on T-Mobile, which was the successor to the Samsung Vibrant. This is the new Galaxy S2 series, the first one to come out in the US, and it's on Sprint. And you can see what the size difference is between these two phones. The original Galaxy S is shorter and it's narrower, and they're roughly the same thickness. However, when you look at it, they're pretty darn close. Let's turn it around this way. The new Galaxy S 4G, the Samsung Epic 4G Touch, is very, very slim and sleek. So very impressed with that. Now, let's go ahead and continue on with the Epic 4G Touch. So this, as I said, is a 4G phone. It runs Sprint's WiMAX network. This is going to be part one of a review. I'm going to quickly run through some of the benchmark tests so we can see what this does from a benchmark point of view. Tomorrow I'm going to run, or the next review, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or the next day, I'll run more apps and we'll talk a little bit more about the apps. But right now, I want to talk a little bit more about the specs of this phone. It's got a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. It runs Android 2.3.4. And to make that, by the way, to make that 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor faster, it has 1 gigabyte of processor RAM. 16 gig of onboard storage. Now, the phone I got has an empty micro SD slot, so you can put up to a 32 gig micro SD card for a total installed memory in this phone, if you get that micro SD card, of 48 gigabytes. That's a lot of memory. Also, the battery in the here in the Epic 4G Touch is an 1800 milliamp hour battery, which makes it, I think, the biggest battery I've seen yet in any cell phone, 1800 milliamp hours. Now, I just got the phone a short time ago, so I have no clue on battery life at this point, but I will be testing the phone and give you some idea in the next review how the battery life goes. Okay, I mentioned that I'm going to do some benchmark testing. I'm going to go ahead and run Quadrant. Now, I have Quadrant and Smartbench loaded on this phone. Unfortunately, the phone would not allow me to load Smartbench 2011, so I installed Smartbench 2010. Not sure why that's the case. I have the feeling that something between Android 2.3 and Smartbench and the dual-core processor in this phone, that it's not happy with Smartbench 2011. So I'm running Smartbench 2010. But right now, this is Quadrant. I'm going to go ahead and run the full bench. Well, actually, before I get started with that, let's go here for the system information. You can see, of course, that this is running Android 2.3.4. Here's the model number. CPU. It's running at 1200 megahertz. Now Quadrant doesn't recognize that there's two cores, so it's only running in one of the cores on this phone. There you see the memory, so it's running a gigabyte, has a gigabyte of processor RAM, and of course the display resolution of 480 by 800. So that to me is a little bit of a disappointment. I'm an old video guy, and to me more resolution is better resolution. But let's go ahead and run the benchmark. I'm going to go and run it, and I'm going to turn the camera off and pick it up once the benchmark test is done. Okay, this is the last of the 3D graphics tests that are part of Quadrant. Of course, I want to get the results. You can see I've got 4G lit up there. Now, when this phone goes to sleep and it doesn't need to get the 4G bandwidth, you'll see little Z's there by the 4G symbol to indicate that it's fallen asleep. That's kind of cute. Okay, very small print. Don't know if you can read that, but it's 3,206. Folks, we have a new winner in the Quadrant tests here with the Samsung Epic 4G Touch for Sprint. 3206 is the highest Quadrant score that I have seen. Now keep in mind that that is running only on one of the cores in this phone. Really a fantastic score. I'm going to go ahead and run Smartbench, although it is Smartbench 2010 as I mentioned, not Smartbench 2011, and we'll go ahead and get those scores as well. Okay, this is the last of the graphics tests in Smartbench, and now I'm going to display the index scores. Now, Smartbench gives you two scores. One is the productivity score, and the other is the games score. In productivity, we have 909. Again, this is Smartbench 2010, not 2011. So productivity is 909. And the games is 2,850. Just like the previous generation of the Galaxy S phones, the original Galaxy S, such as this Galaxy S 4G, the Galaxy S2 phones, here in the embodiment of the Epic 4G Touch, these phones have a much higher games score than a productivity score. What that means is that they have a visual processor inside, a graphics processor, that does a great job with the visuals. So things that you run on this are all very smooth. Let's look a little bit more around the phone. This has an 8 megapixel still image camera with an LED flash. Now it also will do 1080p HD video. Haven't had a chance to really test the camera much in this yet. There's also a front camera. So far I haven't yet figured out exactly what the resolution of the front camera is, but I'll be doing that in the next video. One thing I want to do last is to run a YouTube video. We'll take a look at a YouTube video and listen to what the sound sounds like. So I'll come back to that when we're ready to roll with a YouTube video. Okay, this is a local Washington, D.C. area band called the Grandsons. The song is one that they wrote called Yodel Your Blues Away. And these guys are a rock band, but they did this very fun polka here. The screen quality and the sound quality are both very, very good on this. Now, again, I'm used to seeing 540 by 960 phones at this point, and those make a pretty display too, but I like the fact that the viewing angle on this is just outstanding. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to just a little bit more of this. There you go. Those are the Grandsons with Yodel Your Blues Away. That's a video that I shot myself, and it's up on YouTube. So this is the end of the first part of a review of the Samsung Galaxy S2 phone, the first one to come out. It's for Sprint. It's called the Samsung Epic 4G Touch. It's a 4G phone. It is a very pretty phone, and it gets some outstanding numbers, especially with Quadrant when I run a bench test. Now, some of that can be attributed to the fact that it has lower resolution than some of the other phones that are coming out nowadays. Higher resolution phones have to take more processor power and devote that to moving the pixels around because there's a lot more pixels to move around. But this is a very fast phone, very smooth. It scrolls beautifully well, looks very nice. I like the widgets that Samsung and Sprint have on the screen. And it just has just a tremendous punch because of the Super AMOLED display. Hey, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly with a review of the Epic 4G Touch Thanks for watching.